just had a lawyer for kind of for that case with the AOK?
Have I ever had a lawyer for AOK?
Yeah.
No.
What they tell in this letter, they say that they told your lawyer the information that is in here.
No. What happened is when I was in Munich, I couldn't find a lawyer at all to take. The main problem is SAP, my employer. So no lawyer in Munich would take it on because it's in Munich City. I went on an English-speaking website and they said if you have a problem in one city, you have to go to another city. So I went to Hanover, and what Hanover basically said, and you can read the notes in there, they were willing to take on SAP for mobbing, physical assault. They were making me drink alcohol, forcing drugs. I mean, it was ugly. I went all the way to Waldorf and explained everything. I showed them all the evidence. Deleting my work, not giving me the correct equipment, I mean, calling you like a terrorist and all this. So the Waldorf basically said it's not safe for you to go back to that office. I said, well, what am I supposed to do? They said, well, can you go on Krankengeld until we figure this out? I said, yes, but I'm not sick. I'm very, very stressed. So essentially what happened is it was a total mess from the start because I only found out that SAP had not informed AOK. They thought I was unemployed for the first 3-4 months. AOK did not have me registered as having healthcare, and there's supposed to be an 8-week period, right? So Waldorf basically said for the first 2 months, okay, we'll cover half of it, and AOK will cover the other half because what you've been put through is horrific. And then what started to happen is that I started receiving threats in Munich with regards to all these kind of things, and I went to the police and they said, you know what, it's just a better idea, you leave Munich and you do this from a distance. So AOK, Commerzbank and SAP agreed that any communication would be done would be by email, and if I need to send any sick notes, I can take a copy and send them to SAP and send them to AOK. And what started to happen was it started to become very convoluted. AOK was lying. So to cut a long story short, my lawyer in Hanover said, look, this is quite complicated, I will take on SAP. It kind of touched on AOK parts, but he was dealing with SAP. I then had a lawyer in Cologne who was dealing with Commerzbank because I had originally set a court date in November to go to court against SAP. And Commerzbank froze all my bank accounts 2 weeks before I was supposed to go to court, and then I couldn't do nothing. So now I have a lawyer in Cologne who's taking on Commerzbank. I have no one to really deal with this because essentially what happened was right before I'm supposed to go to court with SAP, and they know I have the evidence, they froze my money completely, my Krankengeld, my Commerzbank, so I have no way to go to court. So really I just want to get my compensation and I want to leave. But the problem is, and I have emails as well that you're more than welcome to read. The guy in Cologne, he said, I'm not dealing with the AOK, but let me have a look anyway. He had a look at this and he's like, half these documents aren't even real German. They don't even make sense. There's parts missing, like especially on this one, because I'm supposed to get 81 euros per day. And the sticking point is SAP said they terminated me 2 weeks before my 6 months probation. What the lawyer in Hanover said, well, that's physically impossible because he was moving around so much. He never received any email. There's no phone call. You had no way to even remotely communicate that. So if he is sick until the summer of this year, AOK is liable to pay that until then. So that's the only reason he touched on AOK, because of what SAP did. But it's gotten to the point now, I've had numerous phone calls. So from day one, they got all when I signed with AOK, my name wrong, my address wrong, my work wrong, physically aggressive, verbally aggressive. And it got so bad in Würzburg where I signed on, my job was actually in Munich. Again, when I went to Sky Deutschland, all the wrong information. I had no idea how much I was paying. They wouldn't tell me. Then I was living in Germering in Munich, and it got worse and worse and worse and worse and more abusive. I actually had people in Germering throwing the papers in my face. So I went to the head office in Lyme in Munich. I said, I want to talk to the director, whose name is Bernard Adam. So he's the director at Lime, correct. And I said, look, this is ridiculous that I'm even having to talk to you, but this is the level that it's at. And I said, look, I've had racial, not just from German people, but anyone who's worked for AOK, racial slurs, sexual slurs because, oh, you're a stupid man, or just on that level. I said, none of the information you've done is correct. None of the information you've said is correct. None of the payments you've given me are correct. And from basically, from I think it was about August last year, they said, oh, SAP paid you for wages. And I said, well, none of what you're saying is making any sense now, because SAP on one hand is saying they terminated me, yet they're still paying me. You're saying they paid me. Commerce Bank has closed my account. So essentially what AOK said was, and I've actually been in this Bernard office personally saying, look, this is ridiculous. He keeps moving the target. He said, in order for me to give you your sickness pay, I need to see that you have no access to Commerce Bank. So the Cologne lawyer and BaFin, the federal court, said what Commerce Bank is doing is illegal and he has to reopen the account. He has no access to this money. So AOK got that. Okay, well, I need another account to put the money in. I said, okay. So I opened a Sparkasse account, which had no money in it. I said, so you've been given all these sick notes, and then what they do is Bernard Adam and his sidekick Christian Weber always switch each other and then pretend they haven't spoken to each other, so we keep going over and over the same thing.
Okay, to cut short,
yeah.
Let's get to the point.
Yeah.
When did you report sick for the first time?
It would have been, I was told to go on sick leave by SAP in February, March last year.
Because here, in this letter, it's from March, is the information you've been on sick leave since 27th of January. And the second one here is the 13th of March. So what is the correct date?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, because they basically, I basically went to SAP Hybris HR around about the 27th, 28th, and I still have the emails. And they were in a case of, this is so bad, we don't know what to do, just leave the office. So I'm sitting at home and I still have access to my SAP, and I'm like, I'm not from Germany, I need to follow HR instructions. So for a couple of weeks, it was just left, like nothing's going on. And I'm like, well, you have to tell me what to do or where to go. So for a few weeks, nothing happened. I have all the emails. So that's why there's that date and that date, because between that period, nobody knew what to do.
But do you have doctor's papers?
Yes.
From what date on?
Have to check that, but it's probably closer to the January date than the March date.
So this letter doesn't make any sense to me, because it says you've been sick since the 13th of March, and there had been wages from SAP from the 2nd of May till the 30th of June. So if you would have reported sick on the 13th of March, they would have to pay you for 6 more weeks, and that would be till the end of April.
Okay.
So that the Krankengeld should start at the beginning of May. And they tell here, they have paid you Krankengeld since the beginning of May, but also that SAP paid you wages for 2 more months till the 30th of June. Have they paid you?
This is the point, I don't know, because Commerce Bank closed my account and I had no... You understand what they're... So the thing is, they know I can't speak German. And to my eye, I can't read that. So I'm relying on them being truthful. But I'll be honest with you, it's like, give one thing, take it away.
Okay.
So I've never known what's going on.
Next question. Till then, was your sickness absence? Is it still?
It's still going, yeah, because basically the Hanover lawyer said it's physically impossible. He's terminated. It's physically impossible because in Germany you have to be given in person or whatever. We were all understanding if anyone needs to communicate, it's by email, by phone, or you have my lawyer. Nothing was sent.
And the problem is that you don't know if they paid you Krankengeld on your account,
No, no,
or
no.
are you sure that they didn't?
I'm
pay?
sure that they didn't. And the problem is that Bernard, there's no doubt in my mind SAP is pressuring AOK not to give me my money, because if I get my money I can go to court against SAP.
Mm.
So I've not been paid anything from AOK for like 6 months. And on the legal form from the SAP side, once you go past your 6 months, I understand you're eligible for a lot more, right? So they basically, the lawyer in Hanover proved he's still an employee. But they're just making excuse, and that's why I printed out a lot of the emails. Every time I give them what they need, they think of something else that I have to give them. And they just never pay me. And even the money they do give me doesn't correlate to that. So I have no idea what they're doing.
What money did you get from them?
Well, it was random amounts. It was never the same amount. So that states, as far as I'm aware, I'm eligible for 81 euros a day, right? Oh, that's what they've calculated.
If that is correct. Yeah.
Right. I've never gotten that. It's always been here, there, and everywhere. And then one day he'll write in English. And
Did you get letters with the amount they paid you on it?
No.
Except these here.
That's it.
That's it.
What I'm saying is
They just paid. There was no letter coming with it.
no, and I'll be like, well, how is this amount? Oh, well, it actually got that ridiculous. A few weeks ago, before Christmas, I said, look, I'm getting desperate. I'm going to end up out on the street because you guys are literally handcuffing me right now. And they actually said, Mr. Bernard Adams being fired. I was like, oh my God, really? I called next week. Oh, Mr. Adam. I'm like, so you've now got your staff telling me you've been fired when you have. That's where we're at.
Okay.
So I'm stuck because as soon as I get the money from them, I can get my money